If you're like me, you've probably spent more time at home cooking in the last 13 weeks than you ever have. I even took up cooking, and that's making something more than mac and cheese or throwing something on my Traeger, which, by the way, shout out to Traeger for epic. Anyways, today we're going to learn about how you can make cooking fun and inspirational. Find out how, coming up next. It's Women Wednesday, so that means we have another amazing woman, entrepreneur, awesome superstar, rock star, whatever you want to say. That's what Women Wednesday is to us here at To The Point. As always, I'm your host, Eric Mitchell, and you're here at To The Point. So welcome. It's Women Wednesday, so let's get excited. So today's guest, she's written amazing books, and she's an actress. Her books cover cooking, children's book, just a little bit of everything. And we're going to talk about how she has so much time to do this, and we're going to talk about cooking, which is something we've all had to take up during the last 13 weeks. And I'm hoping that we don't have to sink back into cooking more, because I've kind of enjoyed going out. So, PSA, wear your mask. That way we can keep businesses open. Psst, Florida, Texas, Arizona, you should probably listen. Just saying. Anyways, we have an amazing guest for us today. So Nancy DeRosa is going to be joining us, and she's just going to bring some fire. We're going to talk about her books, talk about how she got into that and how she blends acting, and we'll probably cover a little bit about Broadway being shut down for the remainder of the year. And we will talk about her books and cooking and her love of both. So let's get to the point with our Women Wednesday guest, Nancy DeRosa. And we're back, and we get to welcome our guest to the show. We have Nancy DeRosa. Nancy, how are you doing today?
I am doing great and happy to be here, Eric.
Awesome. We are happy to have you here. I love it. It's Women Wednesday, and we get you here. We have amazing folks on all the time, so love having another one. So let's talk about this. So I know you've written many books, but you're also an actress. No, I have a question for you, and I probably should ask Jordan this, but because she's an actress too. Is it actor or actress? What is the proper when you're saying it? I know that I've seen actor, even watching the Academy Awards, they refer to actresses as actors sometime. I don't know in today's day and age, is that proper or not?
It's fine. I think it just, it explains you.
Okay.
If you're doing a project, you could, as far as I'm concerned, actor, actress, I'm all good. If I'm working on something, I'm happy to be there.
Awesome. Cool. I just want to make sure I have the right title down. You know, you never know when people I
get that.
Because I get people get mad at me when I'm like, hey, Dan, short for Daniel. They're like, the name is Daniel. And I'm like,
well, you can call me Nance. I won't have any problems.
I'll call you Nancy. We'll go with that. I'm not shortening your name. You already have a short name. It's like Eric. You can't go shorter than that.
People call me Nance, so it's all good.
Well, people call my wife Lou because her name is Lucy, but I don't know. Anyways, people at home are like, okay, we get it. You guys are figuring. Yeah. Anyways, so I want to jump into this. So you're in the wonderful state of New York, the epicenter of COVID-19. How are you holding up?
I have to say it's getting a little tiring, but we're doing the best that we can. I feel bad for so many people, for the young people graduating, the jobs, having to work remotely. It's very stressful, and I think everyone's doing the best that they can do. I'm tired of cooking every night. I'd like to go out to a nice restaurant, maybe have a martini or a glass of wine and just hang out. But I think everyone is stressed. Everyone. It's a long time now, and there's really no end in sight. But we have to just keep going and being respectful of others. Wear your mask when you're inside, and or not being able to social distance. And we're really trying to adhere to all of that as much as we possibly can.
And that makes sense. But so let's talk about that. Your state has done great after hitting the epicenter of everybody going, oh my God, and you guys had the curve and we saw it. And the great thing about Governor Cuomo, I know people are going to hate me for saying this. I think he's done a fabulous job because he's been brutally honest about the curve, unlike other people who came out in February and said, we got 15 people who have it, and you'll see it'll be gone in like a week or two.
He was very factual. He was very concise on how he gave the information. It was very clear. And I really appreciated that. And I appreciate Dr. Fauci.
Oh.
He doesn't pull any punches, and he really informs us as truthfully as he can. Again, they're learning new things all the time. They're always learning new things about this virus. And I think that they keep us pretty much up to date as much as they can.
They do. I think Fauci's done a great job. I mean, he's wearing a mask at press conferences and doing the normal things that we're required to do. Yes. I ask all of my guests this. I know this has nothing to do with Women Wednesday. Why do you think so many people are fighting wearing a mask? And I mean, I've heard it. People somehow think that it's against their constitutional rights to wear a mask. I'm like, masks aren't covered in the Constitution. A lot of other things are covered in it, but not masks. Why do you think Americans, specifically Americans, and it's not even all Americans, let's be clear, it's some of you. Some of you think like this is like as equal as us stomping into your house and taking your guns or your children away from you. Being forced to wear a mask to keep people healthy, to me, makes sense. And if it keeps America going and businesses open so I can go sit down in a restaurant, I can go do what I want to do and still provide for small business. I'm not getting on my soapbox, but damn it, I'm trying to.
I absolutely agree with you because, you know, again, with my food and wine column in the City Insight magazine, that's exactly, I want to highlight these restaurants that have been hit so hard with this virus. And it's uncomfortable to wear the mask. It's hot, you're leaning down, you're picking up bags. It's not the best case scenario, but you could have it and not even know. You could be standing next to somebody who has a compromised immune system. Just be kind and careful when you're especially in an enclosed space. Just be mindful that there are people there. And some people think, oh, I won't get it or I won't get sick, but you can. And you can get someone sick without even knowing it. And I think we all have to really be careful and wear our masks when we can't social distance. It's just very simple. Because this is surging. We can see this. It's surging in many states. And in New York, we did listen. We locked down and we are showing the proof of what we have completed as we've gotten the cases down, but it can surge at any time. And wearing a mask is one of the most effective ways. Of course, don't hug and like kiss people, wash your hands. I mean, we all know this, we've heard this a million times, but masks are very important. And I won't go in any store as much as my face will get hot or I'm uncomfortable. There will be a mask on my face.
Absolutely. And I think that's just, and we'll move on here. I know people are like, ugh, but I think it's important that we just even cover it on every show, just because I think people need to understand, hey, wear it because you're not thinking of your uncomfortableness. I don't care. It sucks for me. It's hot. I don't like having a mask on my face.
I get claustrophobic.
Yeah, it's horrible.
I can't breathe. I have to get my food soon. It's not fun, but it's necessary. It
keeps America going, and that's the most important thing.
We're protecting our country. We're protecting the people in our country and protecting ourselves.
Goldman Sachs said today in a report that if we wear masks, and we made it mandatory, which, oh my goodness, would freak our country out. But if we did, which I think it should be, it's one of the rare things I think we should be doing. It's 2 months too late in my eyes because we've lost hundreds, over 100,000 people on our way to, 200,000 probably in the coming months with this surge. They said that if we wear masks, we could actually bring almost 4 trillion, that's right, I said trillion with a T, back into our economy because businesses could stay open. It's a small sacrifice. I mean, we're asking this much. But anyways, I don't want to get stuck on this.
It's a no-brainer. Yeah. It's a no-brainer that the masks, because it is, you can catch this virus easily. Whole families have caught it. You can catch this much easier. And again, they say there's like 24 times more people that could have had this or is carrying it than what we're even knowing because of the testing being more available. I believe that the masks and not touching each other and washing our hands and hand sanitizers are the most effective way until we get a vaccine to keep all of us safe. It's just, to me, a no-brainer.
So let's talk about something fun and exciting here. Let's talk about food, because you mentioned it a second ago, and I love talking about food. I'm down 60 pounds in the last year and a half, so food is still my friend, but eating right has been a thing. And we're all stuck at home cooking, right? Which is kind of driving us nuts. I know our friends in New Jersey are angry, but let me ask you this. Let's talk about your column. What's it like writing now in a time where more people are probably reading your column than ever before? And what's the feedback you're hearing from your column? How it's like changed people? I've heard some amazing things about your column. I've read it. It's really good. It really makes you go, it makes you want to go grab a bottle of wine and make a really good meal.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate that when people, to me, food is love. And to me, restaurants that I want to highlight, as well as my own tried and true family recipes, you're sharing a part of yourself and others. And if your beloved recipe ends up on someone else's table, you're a part of their thread of their family. You have connections to them, and it becomes a part of their family celebrations. And I really am excited about this food and wine column in the City Insight magazine, because that magazine is all about positivity, uplifting people, communities, businesses, everyone's best face forward. And I love sharing. I just did an article on Alvin and Friends in New Rochelle, and it was such a joy. And he's just wonderful. His restaurant is wonderful. It's in a great community. I'm from New Rochelle. It was the epicenter, the big breakout that happened there. They're a strong, resilient city. It's my hometown. And it was such a joy to do this article and share him and getting more upfront and personal about the chefs and the restaurant owners and the food products that people are manufacturing. They're doing it for us. They want to feed us. They're sharing their food and their love and wanting us to enjoy our time in their restaurants or use the ease of using their products in our kitchens. And I am very happy to be able to have this opportunity. I also have food-centric books, Food for Thought, First Course, Second Course, and Just Dessert with Black Opal Books. And this is a fun series, but it also is a composite of all of us. And it starts with 5 single friends, and they go through the ebb and flow of friendship and family, the insecurities. All the social interactions take place at a table. The food's the prop as the social interactions take place. And the secondary characters are well developed, to really show how we all progress and how important food is. It's just a universal connection. It's our common bond. And I just love being a part of all these different, and Jordan's show that's going to be premiering soon on Star Baby. Those are my loved recipes that I have with my family. And then I want to have people on. I want to highlight the chefs and the restaurants because they've had such a hard time. And throughout this virus, and there's just so many people struggling, and I just want to find them and highlight all the special qualities that they have to offer.
I love that you talk about restaurants and you focus on these small businesses. It's great because nobody's doing a blog on eating at Olive Garden. That's not even Italian food. But it's great because I think for the first time ever, more and more people are focused on small businesses, and we all see the restaurant industry absolutely devastated. It's retail will be fine. I know people are like, well, Nordstrom's is closing 16 stores. Nordstrom's is killing it online. Amazon has so much business, they can't even keep up with producing the little cool Prime vans y'all see around town. Amazon's doing fine. Apple's doing fine.
Amazing.
But
they do They don't need me to highlight them.
No, it's great that you do that. I mean, and what causes, and we're going to dive into your books. I love, that's a great topic, but I want to talk about small businesses and restaurants.
Yes, please, yes.
But what caused your love of food, right? We all have a person for love of food. My love of food comes from my grandfather and my mom. My mom was a single mom until I was 14. She was my mom's a rock star to this day. I love her to death. I mean, that's why I live 22 minutes from my mom's front door. Yep, I'm a mama's boy, proud to say it. And she's a great grandmother, and she's just awesome at everything she does. But where did you get your love of food and going out, and how do these businesses react seeing you, or how are they dealing with this fallout? I mean, here's mine before you answer. I love going to restaurants right now. I think the service is better. I think the smaller numbers are actually causing better service because the kitchens aren't slammed. I think what we got to...
They're so happy to see you. They're so happy you're there.
Beyond happy. It's terrific.
And that's to feel that. Like, thank you for coming back. And it's funny because when I interviewed Alvin Clayton of Alvin and Friends, and I asked him these questions, and I said, what was the biggest struggle? And what do you wish going forward? And to him, his restaurant his biggest dream was to have people come into his restaurant like they were coming into his home. Most people that open restaurants or chefs, that they're doing it for us. They want to feed us and show love and want us to appreciate what they make. It's all just such a wonderful thing that these restaurants and chefs and restaurant owners are doing. And the first thing he said to me is to see my people again, to rehire my staff. These restaurant owners are upset that they have to let their staff go, that they know they're struggling, and they've been so loyal to them and caring about the restaurant and the service and the people. There's a lot that goes into this. This is not an easy business, and they are doing it to share their love of food to us. And that's a gift that needs to be appreciated. And I can't wait until they can all come back full charge ahead. And it's just going to be such a big celebration for us and most of all for them. My mother was a wonderful cook, and my grandmother. And holiday celebrations were very big in my family. I do a big Christmas Eve. We make everything. We share. It's sharing. My sons love when I cook. My daughter. It's a celebration whenever I'm making, no matter what it is I'm making. They're just happy. Oh, what are you making? And it just makes the house smell good. And it's just a big part of all of our lives. Like, I don't know that many people like, oh, food I don't care about food. Like, most people have memories or signature dishes. What is a lot of times when I'm going to interview or interviewing, what's your signature dish? What gives you the most memories with one of your dishes, or childhood memories from your dish that you had as a child? You can get so upfront and personal with people and food establishments when you ask those questions, and they're sharing their recipes and their meals with you, and that's pretty special. And sharing it, I've shared recipes on my articles for the City Insight magazine that I love, and with Jordan on our show, the Food for Thought series.
That's awesome, because you're right. To me, I think food is like an art. I love fine art, but I also find small restaurants, and it's some of the best food I've ever had in my life. I do live in the Pacific Northwest. We have amazing food here.
Oh, okay.
But comparable, the only place I've had better food is, of course, in New York City, hands down. I always laugh. I was watching Billions the other night, and Red Farm was on, which is to die for food. We went to, what the heck's it called? Wolfgang's, not Wolfgang Puck's, but Wolfgang Steakhouse, which is a bunch of Pete Luger folks that left Pete's and went there. One of the best meals I've ever had in my life. And we had that. We were all in New York for Christmas, and we basically, people go, what'd you do in New York for the 9 days you and your family were there? And I said, well, we did some media, but we ate. And we ate really, really good.
You sound like you have a fun family. I'm going to meet you.
You got to come hang with us. We're fun. We love food, and we like wine. And it goes with your color.
Yes, we have a lot in common.
We love wine. So let's go to your books. And I love your topic because I think in 2020, or actually basically the last 3.5 years, sitting down at a dinner table has become basically like going on Facebook. That's my opinion, right? You go on Facebook and it's just from both sides of the house. And I think sitting at a dinner table, you almost have to set these new guidelines like, hey, we're not talking about this or that or that. It drives me nuts. I'm a talker. And also working in this industry, I love talking about what's going on in the world because I think that's how you educate yourself and grow knowledge. Because so many people, to me, go like this when it comes to everything. So your book's covering these characters sitting down with the food being, the spotlight, talking about having these conversations about what's going on in the world, I think is key. So what advice do you give folks if you're going to sit down and break bread? A lot of us are spending time with our family. I know we do. Obviously, this weekend, we're celebrating our amazing country's birthday. So we're excited about that. It's, almost as old as the Marine Corps. Just kidding. I have to give some Marine Corps some love. We're older than the country, so we're happy about that. But what do you say to these folks sitting down? We're going to go to barbecue, right? We're allowed to do that. Wear a mask, obviously, if you're outside. But sit down. People are going to talk. We have a lot going on. COVID-19, election 2020, and civil rights has sparked up more than ever. Black Lives Matter has divided more people than it. I think when I say more people, I don't think it's divided more people. I think more people are unified for Black Lives Matter, and we have this small percentage that has to shout from the mountaintops, all lives matter. It's like breathing air. Yeah, trust me, I know. It's like saying on 9/11, all buildings mattered. They all did, but 2 of them seem to be the target. So thank you for telling us that all lives matter. I don't understand why people do that. So what do you say to folks sitting down? I mean, if you were going to write a story, how would you describe 2020?
Well, this is the first thing I think when you're with a big group of people, whether it's family or friends. I think especially now, I think to stay away from politics because you're going to end up having a lot of conflicts because people are passionate about where they stand and could be defensive. And I've just seen so many arguments that I think when you're at the table, you need to talk about positive things. Or try to, I even write about this in my books because I bring in the family dynamics with my main character. And what I love about these characters, they're not perfect. They make mistakes. They have arguments. They're insecure. They do ridiculous things, just like all of us do in life. We all are struggling and navigating through different conflicts. And there was actually a family fight. There's a family argument that breaks out at the family table throughout my series, which with real life situations and with family, it could be so fine, especially with this lockdown. And then all of a sudden one little thing, and then there's like a big explosion and people are stressed. And I think when you come to eat, and you're sitting down together to try to keep it a positive atmosphere as much as you can, because these are very trying times and people are stressed.
Oh, they are beyond.
It should be the love. Let's just sit down. And I think oftentimes when you talk politics with friends and family, it can get very heated.
Very quickly, or you get that awkward silence.
Very quickly. And you just, if you don't want to go there, if you want to go there, then you do that. But if you don't, you just want to sit and have your lasagna and your glass of red wine, then try to keep it out of the dinner table. And I think, even more now than ever, just food really, it connects us all. It's universal. Everyone comes to the table. Let's try to that's everything that we share. We share that regardless of our political beliefs or conflicts or stress. This is a joy to most of us to sit down to a nice meal, a nice glass of wine or a martini. I kind of like martinis every now and again. And I think that we need to remember that, like that we just, let's unite through food if we can. That's just one area that we can all agree upon. We can have a nice conversation about where do you like to eat? What What's your favorite restaurant? What's your favorite recipe? What do you love to cook for your family? These are safe zones for us all to share together. And I like that. That's why I love being a part of that right now, because it's such a divided and very high conflict in our country right now.
That's a good point that you bring that up, because we are very divided. I think more so than ever, and it is hard to find positive news. I mean, there's a lot of it out there, but even what some people would say is positive news could be spun by others, and that's what's frustrating, right? A simple share saying you stand for something, or you're like, oh, check this out, this is awesome, can lead to a negative comment, which kind of drives me
Everyone's
nuts.
allowed to have their point of view. And if you're really truly confident in what you believe, what someone else believes isn't going to bother you, because it's their belief. It's not yours. If you're really secure in your beliefs and what you feel, you don't need to make someone else feel that way. If you're truly confident, you have to just be your truth and live the way that live your beliefs.
Yeah.
And
I think people actually struggle with that, Nancy. I think a lot of people living their beliefs, they're afraid to be attacked. A lot of people sit silently now. I think a lot of people are afraid to even turn on social media. I see a record number of people doing that, and it concerns me because I have a young daughters, one 23, one almost 16, and it concerns me because even over this past weekend, we've been covering for the past few weeks. Obviously, I've been on this and covering it, but just a woman missing, a young soldier missing,
yes.
has really hit me. And I think because I'm a dad, I have two amazing daughters. I mean, I have four amazing kids in total, but my boys are easy. You know, my stepson is a rock star. He's, in his 23. He's getting promotions at work. He's a genius. And my 13-year-old, he's a 13-year-old. He's a 13-year-old boy who's like, why do I need to wake up before noon, dude? And I don't want to even make my bed because I'm just going to climb back into it. It's summer.
That's good. It's all good.
But I look at my young women that are in my family and putting them around positive people like yourself, positive female role models, I think it's so key. Never before have we needed more of that in our community. We have amazing black leaders that in the community that my children are very well aware of and they follow, and we've interviewed some of them on the show. We're blessed to have guys like Montel Williams on here as a role model and a great stand-up guy. Lenny Thomas has been on our show from BET, and he's a young role model. But
so wonderful.
Women still need that role model. I think three communities that still, after we get done dealing with our civil rights issues in our country, which need to be covered and squashed, and everybody treated equal. But saying everyone being treated equal would also mean women treated equal. And one of my frustrations is the NBA is starting back up and later this month. And I look at their accommodations. They're treated like rock stars at Walt Disney World. They're staying at the finest resorts. And then I look at the WNBA, also starting up at the same time. Let's just say the accommodations, it's like, oh, you're going to stay at the Ritz and you're going to stay at the Red Roof Inn down the street where they do the crack deals out front. That's kind of the way that they do it. And to me, that's still an issue. It's great that the NBA is putting Black Lives Matter.
We're working on that.
Yeah.
Yes, because look, you're having me on and my passions, because everyone tries to show positivity in different ways, and this is my way to share people that are wanting to give to others and cook for others. I think it's really important, and I do see us making strides, and we need to make many more strides before we get to where we want to be as women. But being a good mentor, being a good mom, I raised my daughter to be very confident and believe in what she believes and not let anyone sway her, and be financially independent and speak her truth and be who she is, and not never to be submissive to anyone else, but to be respectful and kind. And that was also something so important to teach my kids, is to be kind, but to have confidence and know what you need to do, or follow your road, and don't let anyone sway you. At the same time, sorry about that. But at the same time, I don't know where that came from. But at the same time, to be confident and strong. And I'm very proud that I feel that I have given that to Kelly, because she's her own person. And if we all as women give back to women, whether it's your daughter or your friend, we all need to be supportive. And men such as yourself, there's so many of them. I raise my boys to be respectful to the ladies, and to really listen. Like, we all have to listen to each other. What is it we need? We all need to be able to have the same opportunities in business, in life, in friendships. It should really be stressed to the young people. And I think a lot of parents and leaders are doing that. And I see the positivity again, because I see great strides in that with women. I know back when I was younger, it wasn't the way it is now. Women are treated much different, and they have many more opportunities than even my mother had, or my mother-in-law. And it's a really good progression to see, and it's just going to keep going. It's not going to stop with everyone. We're all progressing toward respect and equality for each other. And sometimes that ball rolling is a good ball, but it can create conflict. There's always glitches in progression. There's always conflict. Sometimes it's not easy, but I see it, and I'm just forever hopeful that we're going to get there as a country and be cohesive.
I agree with you 100%. I think we're finally there, and it's funny what took us to get there. And there's a lot of, we could probably talk for hours on what caused a lot of this click in a lot of us to stand up and actually have a voice. I'd never protested before in my life, before a few weeks ago. I stood at a peaceful protest with my children and protested for Black Lives Matter in our neighborhood. It was important to us. We stood there. And my children saw what racism was. We had a couple hillbillies drive by in their truck, and they used original content, of course, because I guess anyways, everybody out there, guess what kind of hat he had on? I bet you can't guess. Well, you probably can. It's kind of how they go together. I'm not saying anything more than that, but I think now we're in this unique place where we are standing up. I absolutely agree with you there. So what advice do you have to folks to find happiness and peace in such troubling times? I know you write about it in books, so if you had a character in mind, like, what would you want? Like, we're all trying to be positive, and it's so key. Having a daughter, like I told you off camera, people ask me what I did for Father's Day, and I can tell you, I think I did right as a father, because my gift from my daughter was this piece of paper everybody on camera can see. This is what my daughter gave to me and read out loud. So you want to talk about a parenting win? Number one, it wasn't just handed to me just to read and guess. She did it in front of everyone. And I think we have more empowered women now than ever. And it starts young, where women weren't able to open the door and go through it because they've always been raised on this adage, you belong in the kitchen, having babies, you don't belong out there, it's the dude's job. Well, dudes suck. Half of us can't behave ourselves. We see it in the army, or in every branch actually, where sexual assault is ignored. You see it in the workplace.
Yes.
It goes ignored. Women are treated as equals, and it drives me batty. But to have my daughter write to me this amazing letter that I keep holding, yes, it's key to me. It's amazing that she wrote it to me.
She's proud of you and what you stand for. And we need to listen to each other. We need to support, in any way you can support someone else, you support them and listen. If somebody's telling you something that isn't right or fair, whether it's an individual or a group, we all need to be informed, educated, and listen, and really try to be better all the time. And I tell my kid, every day is a new day to try to be better or kinder, or if I have an opportunity to help someone, I'm going to take that opportunity. And I think that as people, as family and friends, if we all make those components important, we will lift each other up. And that's really what I believe, listening and caring. And people are telling you something, they're telling you it for a reason.
That is true. I like you saying that because, I always tell my children, and I don't know who told it to me a long, long time ago, but I heard you have two ears and one mouth for a reason, which I failed horribly because I always am talking constantly, always the guy whose mouth is running. I don't know why. Sorry, Mom. Didn't listen to that one. I failed on that one, but I think you do. I think one of the most important things is knowledge. And as I've gotten older, one of the things I love doing is reading. I'm looking around my studio right now, and I'm counting like 6 books that are sitting here. And actually, right before we went on, I heard Amazon at our front door dropping off another book that I'm reading. So where do you hold reading, right? You write a column. I always like to ask my writers this question. Do you read? I mean, what are some of the favorite things that you read when we talk about leadership? So I just want to ask you, as somebody who writes a column and writes books, how do you feel? Like, what kind of books are your favorite kind of books that you're reading?
I like everything. I am so eclectic in my taste. I like autobiographies. I like fiction. I like nonfiction. I just like even just simple, sometimes just a simple story that's just enjoyable. I sometimes like thrillers. I read everything. But I wanted to just say one other thing that I think is so important, that for all of us as a country, is when sometimes we don't validate one another. If someone's telling you something and you get on the defensive and you don't validate if you can just say that's fair. Do you know that it disarms a conflict so quickly? If you just give that person, listen and just say, well, that's fair. And then you can go back to what you're saying. Or I understand that. I could see why you would feel that way. And then go back to go back to your stance. Hold your stance. There's a conflict. Sometimes we need to get through it. But validation is such a powerful tool. And I know when I don't get that, it's frustrating to me if I'm trying. And I think if we all just take a moment and pause and validate someone, it could be a very, very good thing. And I just wanted to share that.
I love it. You can share that anytime you want on our show. We love sound advice like that. Again, we're having this conversation because people need to hear it. We are living in different times. 2020, what started off for many of us is we're looking forward to a positive year, right? And to basically make it 2 months into the year and all of a sudden a huge dumpster fire start, and it just won't end. It just continues going.
And it goes to other areas, and it goes into everyone's lives, their relationships. It just can permeate everywhere. And I think validation in a discussion is very important and can really diffuse it, not always having to be right, and listen and just have a little humility. If you're wrong, sometimes I'm wrong, and I hate having to admit it, but I'll admit it. Admit it. People will respect you in a conversation, and I think that's really important. And I put a lot of love in what I do with my books, working with Jordan, with my column that I've started to write. I'm very excited about that. And I just want to continue, as we were talking, to just be positive and put light on everyone that I can put light on, as you do. You're sharing your show with people, with women, people that maybe wouldn't necessarily be heard. You're giving positivity and light to people. And I think that's the best way to live, and we all should strive for that.
I agree. I believe that our goal as being positive people, just like you, being a guest on our show, we're going to touch, even if it's only one person, if we can shine light into a dark corner and bring light to that darkness, we're doing our job. And that's our goal. I always
gesture. Yeah. It could be a small, things you don't think about. Maybe someone's lonely, and if you sense it, just give them that 10 minutes. There's a lot of people that feel isolated right now, and a lot of people that are struggling with so much. And we all have to give to each other, because that's going to bring us up as a country, and just heal all these conflicts is what I wish for most of all.
Absolutely. So before you go,
Through food.
Before you go, you're gonna be. This is where we plug, everybody. This is where the plugs come in. You're gonna see it in the comments below if you're watching. So we're going to say them, so you can Google them if you need to. But don't worry, they're gonna be right below. So if you're watching on Facebook, just look in the comments. They'll be sitting there. If you're on YouTube, they are in the description. Just go ahead and click on that. You can learn all about today's guest, Nancy DeRosa. So she's now gonna do what we call plug, so stay tuned for that. So Nancy, go ahead and tell folks how they can find about your books, where we can find your column, so we can all go subscribe and read. That's right, make sure you subscribe and read. It's a good column. Go read it, support it. So
thank you so
Nancy,
much.
tell folks how they could do that and find
Well,
you.
I have a food and wine column with the City Insight magazine. It's a expansion of global communication. They have print and also online, and it's a wonderful magazine for me to be a part of, because it is what I connect to, trying to uplift people and communities, and I'm doing that through my food column and just showing everyone that I can through the best light, and also sharing some of my beloved recipes that I hope becomes a part of your dinner table with your family. And I have I have 6 books published, but the food-centric series is Food for Thought, First Course, Second Course, and Just Desserts with Black Opal Books. And this series is really a slice of life that everyone could relate to. It really will resonate, because these are characters with flaws, mistakes. They go through every part of love and friendship and family and career, and it's funny, but it's also poignant and realistic. And there's so many meals that I highlight. Each chapter is a new restaurant, a new sushi restaurant, a new picnic, a diner, the family table. So I bring you into the restaurants, and the food becomes part of the conversation, dialogue-driven books. So that's with Black Opal Books, and it's available everywhere. And my show with Jordan, Elizabeth Gelber, which will be coming soon to Star Baby Network. And it's some of my cooking segments that I filmed with her, food that I love, my grandma Mai's chicken and rice, which has been in my family for so many. When she came here from Portugal, that was the recipe she had in her coat pocket, and we're still making it today. So that's really special, and I cook that. And just trying to just share with everyone, and share food and people, and that's what I'm doing. And I'm very excited.
I love that. That was the best plug ever, because it wasn't like, sometimes people plug in ways that I'm like, wow, you really put your pitch all into that, and yours was very from the heart. And I love it, because your books talk about food, which, I mean, a lot of us find comfort in food. I know I do. And TV shows, and the movie The Chef with John Leguizamo and Jon Favreau. Just amazing. That film, number one, the music's dope. It makes you want to go eat good Cabano food. And people love the kitchen. I mean, my memories of good food come from my grandparents, my mother's dinner table at Christmas time. It's always something that you get excited about.
So memories. Oh,
I mean, food memories are huge. People talk about them. I mean, I think you have to build those, and I think that's where how we unite is we can unite around a couple things. I do want to say it's awesome that you have a book that you have recipes and food in as a book. I only know of one other anybody ever to do that, and that would be the Beastie Boys. When they put out their book, the Beastie Boys book, called The Beastie Boys Book, they actually put recipes in it, right? Like, which is funny. Their history is in it. But they also have, like, here's our favorite French toast that we used to do when we did this.
Part of the storyline.
Right? So it kind of, I like books like that, and you guys should go check it out, because it's cool to read a book that it really, you know how you always wanted smell-o-vision or be able to taste what you see when you watch, like, Guy Fieri, when you get by just being Guy, or you watch any one of these shows. I mean, we're huge. We love watching them on Netflix and Food Network. But to be able to read it and go, oh, I could go make this and have this and relive this right here and make it part of, it's just something to check out.
Sometimes she does, my main character, with the 5 of them, they're always interacting. sometimes the meal isn't what she thought. She loves food. Like she has battles with what she's eating. And you also will know the bad meal. This was dry, or like it just becomes part of the food. When there's a family fight, the chicken loses its glisten and the spinach wilts. It is part of the story. I wish I had a food truck a new food truck every day in front of my house. I would go visit it.
I love it. Well, I want to thank you for joining us today and being part of Women Wednesday. We'd love to have you back. We should do a cooking segment. We should film you cooking and share a meal.
Do that. We get Jordan and get a guest on. We'll get somebody.
We'll do that.
We'll get a guest from a restaurant. We'll have a chef and I'll assist.
I love
that
it.
Would be beautiful. I would love to do that.
And before you go, you said New Rochelle, and I have to tell you, I'm a movie fiend. So, of course, I thought of Leonardo DiCaprio's movie with Christopher Walken with Catch Me If You Can, because they were in New Rochelle. So I'm just thinking, when you said it, I was thinking of Christopher Walken going, we're here in New Rochelle. Sorry, I don't know why. Sorry, Chris Walken. I love that. Sorry. Good movie. My kids will tell you it's one of my favorites. I love Leo, so it's a good movie too. But it's just funny. You said New Rochelle, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to interrupt her and tell her that I totally, I'm thinking of a movie right now. Horrible idea. I've never been to New Rochelle. I've seen it in movies.
New Rochelle, my hometown. I love New Rochelle, New York.
Yeah. My mother's from Mineola, Long Island, so we have...
Oh, that's nice.
We have ties to New York, and my little brother...
You are in New York, yes.
And my little brother is a New York resident. He lives in Soho. He's still there. He's back to work, so if you're in New York and you need something from Apple, go check him out at... Union Station, because he works at that awesome store. So go.
Okay, I will do that.
So you gotta go check him out. That's what we do. We go high five him. I don't even know if we can high five, but air high five.
I'm gonna go visit him.
I'll tell you off air who he is. I don't want him being like, Eric, seriously, I had like 10 people show up. I'm like, I'm sorry, man.
Have a whole crowd going over there.
He's got fans. He doesn't even know it. But I want to thank you for joining us today. We'll have to have you back really soon. Everybody, Nancy DeRosa here. One last question. Can we get your books on Amazon? I know people are going to...
yes. Amazon, Barnes & Noble. I've done events at Barnes & Noble, Apple too, everywhere.
Awesome. So we're going to put the link, everybody, to the Amazon store, because I support Amazon. We're going to put the Amazon link in there so you could go buy these books, because they're awesome. Make sure to go check out her food and wine column. Wine is a good thing. That's why at the front door, our front door says everything is better with rosé. So
yeah, I like rosé. I like every wine.
I like anything that sounds like wine.
Yeah, if it's in a night, I'm drinking it.
It is.
You give it to me, I'm going to drink it.
It's like whiskey. It goes really well with a lot of things.
I'm not that picky. I'm good with
I am about wine. I've been raised that way. I blame my parents for that. I'm a wine snob. But I want to thank you again for coming on, and we'll have you back real soon. Everybody else, stay tuned, because coming up soon, we're going to talk about what we have in store for you for the rest of the week. Stay tuned after these messages. And that's a wrap for this week's edition of Women Wednesday. It was awesome. Shout out to our guest today, Nancy DeRosa. Thank you, Nancy, for joining us today. We appreciate you for coming on the show. As always, folks, if you want to learn more about Nancy, just click the links below. You'll see them in Facebook and in YouTube. So go check those out so you can follow her, grab her book, and make sure to go check out her wine and food column. You definitely don't want to miss that. I'm starving now. I'm going to go head out for some lunch. Tomorrow, Thursday, on Throwdown Thursday, we have longtime CNN legal analyst Richard Herman joining us. And what we're going to be talking about is the Supreme Court, what these recent rulings mean. We're also going to be talking about why President Trump has appointed more federal judges than anybody besides Carter in their first term. We're going to talk about that and the news of the day. Kind of talk about some legal things that are going on in our country and what we can do for our rights and fun things like that. It's going to be an exciting, insightful conversation that you don't want to miss. So tomorrow, Richard will be joining us. We're excited for that. And Friday, on Fan Friday, you may have watched him if you grew up in the 60s. We have Butch Patrick, a.k.a. Eddie Munster from The Munsters, one of two remaining living cast members. So we're going to talk about that, and Butch is going to share some amazing stories about how he actually worked for Walt Disney. Not like Walt Disney the company, but like Walt Disney, like Walt Disney. It's weird when you say Walt Disney, you're talking about the man. So going to hear those stories and his acting career and what he's up to now. And stick around on Saturday. Make sure you tune in on Saturday morning. We're excited to have Air Force veteran and retired law enforcement singer, actor, and apparently, according to the last time he was on, he's a comedian too. The wonderful Phil Paz will be joining us to sing in Americana tunes. Maybe get some Lee Greenwood going. You know, that always gets you right here in the feels to rock into your July 4th. You don't want to miss that. Before you head out to your barbecue, tune in here. As always, maybe you're going to miss that. Maybe you're going to a parade. If you're allowed to go to a parade, rock that mask and wave your flag. So if you miss us, remember, all you have to do so you never miss us is hit that subscribe button, like it, and then flick that bell so you get notified when we're on. So if you miss us, go check out that episode, and then you don't feel bad. You still go watch, so it's good. We like it when you go do that. Go do that. Make sure you're following us on social media, here on Facebook. Of course, make sure once you subscribe to our YouTube page, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We're it's very simple, To The Point TV. Very simple. And if you or you know somebody who you think should be a guest on our show, send us an email at hello at tothepointtv.com. And we'll get back to you with those people and get them scheduled so we can put them on air with us. We want to hear from you. Let us know how we're doing, and we appreciate it. So on behalf of our entire team here at To The Point, we want to thank you so much for tuning in today. So, as always, you know what's coming, right? As always, I love this part. As always, I'm your host, Eric Mitchell. Be safe, be strong, be smart, and God bless America.
Let's get to the point.